Hey guys, my name is Nancy and welcome back to Confessions of an Evolving Millennial, where we talk about healing, we talk about growing, we talk about evolving, we talk about navigating life with all its twists and turns, one layer at a time, and sometimes you're just plain out trying to figure it out, one step at a time, one day at a time, one foot in front of the other. So welcome back, and today we want to talk about freedom. We want to talk about freedom on the other side of walking away from abuse, of walking away from toxic situations. And I'll just start by saying that I am actually a living testimony. I'm a living testimony that there's so much freedom on the other side of walking away from abuse, of walking away from toxic environments. And sometimes this freedom is not even dramatic, it's not even loud. It's found in just the stillness, the moments where you're quiet and you realize that your mind feels safe, that you feel calm, that you feel at ease. Sometimes it's in just taking a breath and realizing, you know what, I am safe within myself, I am safe in this world, I am home, and that home is actually me, and it's one of the best feelings, and it's something that I'd wish on every single person who doesn't even think it's possible right now because of the kind of situation that they're probably in. But that's a lie. The freedom is possible and it is accessible for any and every single person. And so today I want to share from my own personal experience some of the ways that I've gotten to see that freedom, some of the ways that I can tangibly see how free I have become in specific areas of my life. And so let's dive right in. So the first thing that I can say I did not experience while I was in such environments, and now I get to experience, is the freedom to actually say no without feeling that I'm going to be punished for it, without feeling that my safety might be at risk if I say no, without feeling like love will be withdrawn if I say no, without feeling like my peace will be disrupted if I say no. Because in such situations, or even in abusive relationships, like saying no might mean this person causing chaos, which might disrupt your peace, you know what I mean? And so now I actually get to say no, and the world doesn't end. The world doesn't stop. Everything continues. I'm not punished for saying no. In fact, now the more I say no, the more I realize how empowering it is, because it shows you that you actually have the freedom of choice. And my mom likes to say that no is actually a full sentence, and you don't even have to explain yourself when you say no. It's just no. But actually, unfortunately, in abusive relationships or toxic environments, saying no might actually mean that you'll be punished for it. Even in toxic environments like job environments that are not safe and they are toxic, saying no might mean that you'll be treated in a certain way, or you'll not be given certain opportunities, or you might even lose your job, you know what I mean? And so being on this other side and realizing that I have the freedom to actually say no, it's very empowering, and it's something that I am truly grateful for. The other thing that I feel that I get to do now that I could not be able to do safely then is that I get to actually laugh more. And I'm actually, interestingly, I'm from a family, like my mom and my grandmother, they love to laugh. Like my grandmother, if I was to just call her right now, she just starts laughing. Even we've not started the conversations, that she started laughing. Me and my mom laugh a lot. And I had missed that part of me that would just laugh until my belly aches. And now I actually get to enjoy that, kind of laughter, the kind, thinking about it, And I'm actually so grateful that I get to enjoy, the real unfiltered, deep belly, deep in your belly kind of laughter that leaves you breathless. Unfortunately, that's something that is very hard to experience or have when you are in an abusive situation, because there's usually some guilt attached to it, because unfortunately, abusive partners, for instance, love to rain on your parade. They don't like seeing you happy, like, ever. And so when you're laughing, you're just afraid that, because I've laughed, they're going to come at me. They're going to come up with something that's going to, like, strike me properly. Why were you having fun? Why were you enjoying yourself? Kind of thing. So I'm really grateful that now I get to enjoy laughter. I get to enjoy laughter, and I get to enjoy just pure joy without any fear at all. The other thing is that I actually get to take up space unapologetically. And what I mean by that is that I no longer have to shrink myself to make someone else comfortable or to make other people comfortable. I'm allowed to just be myself, to do whatever I want, to say whatever I want, to express myself. I can wear whatever I want to wear without feeling like, okay, will I have a problem with this? I can speak my mind whenever I want, and especially because I can be quite opinionated and have a lot of opinions, things, because I like using my brain, guys. I like using my brain. And so now I'm free to actually use my brain and to speak my mind. And my light doesn't have to be dimmed for anyone now. And I love that for me. And that is another thing that is on the other side of choosing yourself and walking away from abusive situations, toxic environments. You get to actually enjoy seeing your light shine, and be very unapologetic about it. The other thing is that I actually sleep better now. Yes, it sounds a bit basic, but it's a huge, huge deal. Because you see, when you're in an abusive situation or a toxic environment, your nervous system is very dysregulated, and so it's very hard to have really good sleep. I remember, because of having a lot of anxiety, a lot of fear, it got to a point where I never used to sleep very well. And in fact, I'd have nightmares because of being afraid if this person might harm me. There's so many things that go in someone's mind. And even no more crying myself to sleep, wondering what the hell did I get myself into? And what is this? And the confusion, because there's that cycle of abuse that usually happens, where one time they're so nice to you, then another time they're so mean to you, then another time there's they've instilled a lot of hope in you, and suddenly you believe that this is actually possible. It's possible to work things out. And that cycle of abuse is very crazy, and it puts you in such a bad mental space where you could literally not be able to sleep very well. So right now I get to actually enjoy really resting when I put my head down to sleep at night. And when I say I sleep well, I am definitely God's favorite. I sleep very well, and I'm grateful for that. Yeah, there are times once in a while where I lose sleep in the middle of the night, but very unrelated to being in an abusive environment or a toxic environment. And yeah, I'm really grateful. I'm really, really grateful for that. And that is also something that's on the other side of choosing yourself, good sleep. And good sleep is so important. Yeah, even if it's a few hours, but really good sleep, very important. Another thing is that I actually trust myself again. And this is a huge deal for me, because I remember that there's a time I would really second guess myself, like on almost everything and anything. I even had this habit that I later realized it's actually from a place of not trusting myself, where I'd constantly try to seek people's opinions on things that I'm trying to do. Like, I want to find out, okay, what do you think? I have this idea. What do you think about it? There was very little trust in myself. And now I am able to actually trust my intuition. And actually, looking back, like so far, my intuition has never led me the wrong direction. I feel led and guided by God and by the divine within me. And even when my intuition guides me in a certain direction, and to the outside world it doesn't look like it's a good thing, for me, I have the belief that everything is always working out for my good. And so I know that my intuition was leading me in the right direction, unless of course there are also times that I don't listen. Which obviously that one is usually clearly, yeah, you didn't listen. But now I'm in a place where I trust my intuition more, and it has come with a lot of practice. That one, I will admit, has come with a lot of practice, but now I'm able to trust myself, and I really, really, really love that, and I'm really, really grateful for that. And that is something that is accessible for anyone who makes the decision to walk away from environments that demean you and belittle you and make you feel like you're less than. The other thing that I get to really enjoy is that I get to celebrate myself loudly, loudly at the top of my voice. And this even includes the smallest of wins. Before I would shrink when something good happens, because like I've mentioned, abusers love to rain on your parade. So when something good happens and then you actually celebrate, there's a chance that it will be followed by an explosion of some sorts, because they want to quote unquote humble you, quote unquote put you in your place. Because how dare you celebrate yourself, how dare you? Because also such environments try to make you believe that you are not good enough. So it's like, who do you think you are? You're not good enough to even celebrate yourself. And so now I get to clap myself, I get to honor my wins, I get to celebrate my wins, no matter how small or big they are. And I have that freedom now. Like, I'm free to actually do that without any fear that someone will try to quote unquote humble me, Yeah, so that's another thing that I get to enjoy. And another thing that is accessible for anyone who decides or makes the decision to walk away from an abusive situation, an abusive marriage, a toxic environment of any kind, okay? The other thing is that I've noticed that I have the freedom to forgive myself more often, because I no longer beat myself up from what I quote unquote should have known. I feel like I've actually gotten to a place where I'm learning to love every version of me, including the version of Nancy that made the choice to be in that relationship and stay in that relationship for 6 years, despite all the signs everywhere. But I've learned to be very forgiving of myself. And if you've been in such a situation or such environments, you know that because of the constant criticism, you might end up developing a very critical inner voice. And so now my inner voice is so kind and so sweet and so graceful, so merciful, Actually, now that I think about it, like, all the things that actually describe who God is, that's the kind of inner voice that I now have, very patient. I'm very patient with myself. Yeah, I'm very loving towards myself. And yeah, I'm really, really grateful for that. And again, I keep repeating this at the end because I want it to get into your mind if you're watching this and you might be in such a situation at this particular time, is that this is available for every single person and anyone who makes the decision to walk away from abuse, to walk away from toxic environments. It's available for every single person who makes that decision. This kind of freedom, this kind of life whereby that even seems, this kind of life that almost seems impossible when you're right in the thick of that situation, when you're right in the thick of it, you know what I mean? Yeah, so there's that. Another thing on this other side is that I have finally gotten to the point where I am able to set boundaries and actually honor those boundaries and actually reinforce them. And this one, I have come a long way. I feel like it has come in layers. Like there is a time where there are people I'd be able to set boundaries with, and then there are others that I was not able to. But over time, I've been able to set boundaries with anyone and everyone. And I remember that boundaries used to feel like walls back then, but now they actually feel like doors, whereby the kind of doors that I open when I feel safe, and I immediately close when I don't feel safe. Yeah, so I'm really grateful for that. And it's still a muscle that I think I'm working on. It's still a muscle that I am building. It's still a muscle that I'm training. Yeah, but I'm becoming better at it, and I'm really grateful for that, because again, setting boundaries is not seen as a threat, you know, because unfortunately in abusive relationship or in toxic environments, you setting boundaries is interpreted as, you know, like a threat of some kind, and that's no longer the case. Now setting boundaries is actually very empowering, you know. It shows me that I am learning and I'm becoming better at choosing myself unapologetically. The other thing is that I no longer get addicted to chaos. Well, because the kind of chaos in abusive relationships and also toxic environments, you can actually get addicted to that cycle. And then you think that intensity is what means love, you know, that's passion, you know, 1 minute being called out certain names, and then the other minute you're being pampered. And, you know, sometimes you can actually get addicted to those chaos. And now I'm no longer addicted to chaos. The minute that I notice that there's a sense of chaos, I remove myself. And that one I'm also learning. I can say that I'm still learning, but I'm becoming better at it. I have a receipt. I have receipts of being able to remove myself from situations that I sensed there was potential for chaos, and I was just like, no, we're not gonna do that. We are not gonna do that, because now I know that love is not that chaotic. I know that love feels more like safety. It feels calm. It feels peaceful. There's consistency. It's not one day it's hot, the other day it's cool. There's a sense of consistency. It comes with a lot of softness, a lot of gentleness, you know. So now I have actually become better at separating myself from chaos, and I'm no longer addicted to those kind of chaos. Yeah. The other thing is that I have the freedom I have the freedom to start over as many times as I'd like, because, you know, I'm not stuck in anyone's version of who I am supposed to be, because I feel like with most toxic environments, there's an expectation that this person or this environment has that you should be a certain way, you should be like this. There's a version of you that they've made up in their head, and then they're trying to make it happen in reality. And now I feel like I'm allowed to evolve. I'm allowed to change my mind. I'm allowed to shift. I'm allowed to pivot at any given time, you know. I'm not stuck in a certain version that someone believes that this is who I am meant to be, because maybe it's just meant to serve them. You know, they're not thinking about you as an individual who has their own lives. They are thinking about you as someone who gets to serve them in ABCD in one way or another. And so yeah, now I have the freedom to start over as many times as I need to. Like, if I need to pivot, I pivot without any guilt. if I feel like I've changed my mind around that, I'm allowed to do it without any judgment. And yeah, I'm really grateful for that as well. The other thing is that I am allowed, or rather, I am free to dream again. I'm free to have the wildest of dreams and believe that they will come to, and believe that I deserve them, because unfortunately when you're in survival mode, it's almost impossible to really dream. It becomes a bit hard to actually dream, to have dreams in general. And also, unfortunately, abusive relationships and also toxic environments tend to belittle your dreams or make them look like they're impossible and you can never get to that, because they're trying to constantly make you feel small and like you're not enough, you're not good enough, whatever. Like, I remember for me personally, there's one of my dreams that is like such a huge deal to me and something that I know is going to happen. And I remember my ex actually making it sound like it's ungodly. It's ungodly to pursue such a dream. And it's not an ungodly dream actually at all. But they made it look like, what do you mean? That's not something. And it's something that they had known, like even before we got married, when we were dating, like this is something that I'd really want to do. And then one day out of nowhere, it's like they were against it. And it's like, okay, so now what happens? Because I still want to pursue this dream. So if I'm with this person who doesn't agree with this dream, what does that mean, Yeah, so such environments will always try to kill your dreams for a fact. And apart from killing your dreams from the inside, because now you see if someone is making you feel like you're not enough, you will never even get the strength to be able to pursue your dreams. But sometimes they go to the extent of even just letting you know, like, are you sure? Is that dream even necessary? They belittle your dream itself. And so now I'm free to dream as wild as I want to. I'm free to have beautiful, wild dreams and believe that I deserve them and believe that they're going to come true. And if they don't even come exactly how I want them to, I know it's because they're going to come even better, and bigger. And yeah, that's a very good place to be. And I'm really grateful for that. The other thing, which is actually a very big deal for me, is that I believe in love again. And this is from a healed point of view. Actually, when I think about it, I've always believed in love. Even when those things happened to me, I was just like, no, love exists and love is real and I'm going to find it, And the most beautiful realization was when I realized that love, I needed to find it in myself first. Yeah. I'm not talking about the love that drains you. I'm talking about the love that pours into you, the love that honors you, the love that respects you, values you, makes you feel seen, the love that is not threatened by your light or your magic, that kind of love. Like, I finally believe in that kind of love again, because I feel like I had a very distorted view of love, and now I feel like my mind has been purified when it comes to what love is, and I get to practice receiving that love by giving it to myself first, and also being open to receiving it from my friends, from my family, like anyone who I feel like they genuinely love me in a pure kind of way, where it doesn't drain me, it pours into me, we are pouring into each other, we are edifying each other, that kind of love. And yeah, it's a good place to be, and also a good place to believe that kind of love actually exists, especially because I've given it to myself first. So I know that it's possible because of how I honor myself and how I fund myself, how I take care of myself, how I look out for myself. In fact, actually, I remember just 1 week ago, I was hanging out with a few of my girlfriends and we were somewhere, and then I remember one of them being like, "Hi, Wendy Bud." She told me, she's like, "Hey," midway, there's something that was happening, and then midway she was just like, "Hey, Nancy." I like how you love yourself. And I was like, oh my God, I actually got here. I got to a place where I have learned how to love myself. And as much as I know that, like, it's very refreshing to hear it from someone on the outside who is like, who can notice and be like, enyewe msichana unajipenda. Yeah, and I like that. I love that for me. And that's the kind of freedom that is on the other side of choosing yourself and choosing to walk away from situations and environments that are killing you slowly on the inside. Okay, now I understand that freedom looks different for all of us, but I think for me, freedom is peace. Freedom is being able to express myself without any fear. Freedom is leaning into my softness without any kind of guilt. And freedom for me is also feeling that I am actually enough without having to try to prove myself, you know, which is what like most toxic environments try to make you do. It's like you're in a constant cycle of trying to prove that you are good enough. And so for me, freedom is just knowing that I am enough right where I am, and I don't need to prove anything to anyone, you know. And if you're still in the middle of it, you're still right in the thick of it, I want to assure you that the other side exists. It exists and it is available for you. It is available for anyone who reaches out to that other side, and it's very, very possible, and it's very beautiful, and you are deserving of that kind of peace. You are deserving of that kind of beauty in your life. So don't allow yourself to be stuck in that situation. I know and I understand that it's not as easy as sometimes we make it sound like, oh, just walk away. It's not easy. I know that firsthand. I know because I've experienced it. I know because I've been stuck in that cycle for 6 years and I couldn't get myself out of it. But if you have come to the awareness that this is not it, like this is killing me from the inside out, I'm just here to offer some hope to you and let you know that it's possible to get out of it, and it is possible to experience so much freedom, so much joy, so much peace, so much love, you know, and for you to just fully live. Okay? Yeah, so that's the video for today. I hope you got to learn something, and I hope that this is actually going to speak to someone out there, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Bye.